I upgraded from the Canon R6 Mark II to the Canon R6 Mark III. Was it worth it? Do I regret it? And if you're looking to buy one of these cameras, which one should you go for? So as I'm a video shooter first, let's talk about the video specs of these two cameras. So I'd say the biggest reason why I upgraded to the Mark III is because this has C-Log 2 now, whereas the Mark II has C-Log 3. Don't get me wrong, C-Log 3 is still amazing. I've shot so many video projects on this in C-Log 3 over the past few years, which I will overlay in this video because I've shot weddings, I've shot company ads, and a lot of this YouTube channel as well has been shot on the Mark II. But C-Log 2 in the R6 Mark III is just, in my opinion, so much better. I much prefer it because you get more dynamic range, so you get more details in the highlights and the shadows as well. Because I always find Canon cameras struggle in the shadows a lot if you underexpose them. So having C-Log 2 now just gives you that more flexibility in post-production when you are color grading, because there's just more dynamic range. I think you get up to 16 stops in C-Log 2, whereas in C-Log 3 you get up to 14 stops. Now C-Log 3 is probably an easier workflow, and there is actually less noise in the shadows because there's more detail in C-Log 3. But if you expose it correctly, bring the shadows back down in post, the noise really isn't noticeable at all. And I'd much rather have that and maybe use denoise and have more dynamic range in the highlights and shadows than not having it in C-Log 3. Now, even though there is slight more noise in C-Log 2, the best thing about the R6 Mark III, in my opinion, even though this is unofficial, I think it's got a double base ISO of 800 and 6400, whereas the R6 Mark II only has an ISO base of 800, whereas I actually think it's got a double base of 800 and 3200, because my testing over the last few years, this camera really cleans up at ISO 3200. Because this shares the exact same specs and sensor as the Canon C50, the C50 has a dual base ISO of 800 and 6400, but I've done some tests and this definitely cleans up at 6400 to a point where it looks super clean and it looks really nice. So in my opinion, the R6 Mark III just is that little bit better in my opinion. They really went all in on the Mark III, and another reason why is because you've probably seen this already, but the 7K open gate recording. Now the thing with 7K open gate recording is I love it, and that was a big reason why I did buy it, because I do a lot of YouTube and because a lot of clients out there now want vertical videos. I think shooting once in open gate just allows you to reframe for vertical so much better, because sometimes when you do have to crop for vertical in normal 16:9, you just get that awkward tightness in the face. But the biggest thing for me about the open gate is that you can shoot in a compressed format as well, because if it was just RAW, I would never ever use it, because RAW is just too much data in my opinion. You're shooting in 7K as well, so you can crop in quite a lot and still keep that amazing detail. But after using it and testing out OpenGate on the R6 Mark III, the file sizes are still massive even in the compressed format. I think it's 486 megabytes per second compared to like over a gig in RAW. So you're saving a lot of data using the compressed format, but it's still a lot of data. OpenGate recording on the R6 Mark III is amazing, and I do think it's a big reason to upgrade from the Mark II, or if you're not sure on which one to buy, I think it's better to have it and not need it rather than not have it and kind of want it, if you get what I mean. And obviously, like I mentioned earlier, 12-bit RAW up to 60p in normal 16:9, which yes, is crazy file sizes, and I won't use it really because the file sizes are too big. But if you want to shoot RAW on the R6 Mark II, I'm pretty sure you have to connect up to an external recorder, and that is in 6K. I've never done that on this camera. I never planned on doing it on this camera, and to be honest, I don't really plan on shooting RAW on this camera either. But like I said, it's nice that it's there. Another really nice upgrade for me is on the mode dial now, you have an S and F mode, which stands for slow and fast. And in the slow and fast menu, you can actually shoot 4K 100p, whereas on the R6 Mark II, you can only shoot that in 1080p as well. And because the R6 Mark III has a lot better codecs, such as XF-AVC-S and XF-HEVC, compared to just the IPB and the IPB compressed on the R6 Mark II, when you shot in 4K 100p in the IPB modes in 1080p, especially if you didn't expose it properly, it was just very noisy, very muddy, and it didn't look very good in my opinion. So if you do shoot a lot of 4K 100, it's another great upgrade on the R6 Mark III. And also in the S&F mode, which is really nice, what I love, I really like doing time lapses for if I'm doing vlogs or this and that. And the thing with the Mark II is the only way you could do time lapses really was photography time lapses. With the R6 Mark III on the S&F mode, you can go down to 1 frame per second. But what's great about it is that it's in the video mode, so you can still shoot in C-Log 2 and you can match it perfectly with your other clips rather than it looking like a photo basically. If you're enjoying this video so far and finding it helpful, it would be amazing if you could subscribe to this channel. I do tons of videos on Canon cameras, Canon lenses, photography tutorials, tech videos, tons of stuff like that. So if you want more videos like this, then please hit that subscribe button because it would really help me out. Another thing with the R6 Mark III is obviously there's no XLR ports, just like on this Canon C50, but there is 4-channel audio. So channels 3 and 4 will be the scratch mic. Even though it won't be the best quality audio, I'd much rather have scratch mic audio, even as just as references. You can hear what someone's saying, like a sound clap. Having the scratch mics is just really, really nice. And another one as well is waveform. Now, I absolutely love exposing my image through waveform. On the R6 Mark III, you have waveforms just like on their cinema cameras. So it's just a lot easier to expose it perfectly because you can see where in the image your subject is, so you know how exposed they are. If you want the skin tones to hit between 60 and 80, you can do that. Whereas on the histogram, you're not quite sure where it is. It just shows you the dark areas and what's the bright areas. Another great one for like sports and wildlife videographers is you've got up to 5 seconds of pre-capture on this. Instead of pressing roll and wasting all that gigabytes, because like I said, especially if you're shooting open gate as well, it's a lot of data. If you just wait and then wait for the bird to fly off, as soon as you press roll, the camera has captured up to 5 seconds before. So you can't really miss the shot as long as your focus is on point. So it's a great way to save data, but it's also a great way to obviously get the shot as well. And another absolute massive one is the full-size HDMI in the Mark III. I can't believe it took them this long to get away from the micro HDMI in these cameras. The fact that they're putting a micro HDMI, I still cannot believe to this day, in the Canon R5C cinema camera, blew my mind. It's just, why have they done that? Actually, a lot shooting weddings on the Mark II. The actual camera, like the HDMI port gets loose, the camera stops recording. That really did scare me. Now, with having full-size HDMI port, I don't really have to worry about that. Regardless of what camera you do go for though, the footage won't look good without good quality lighting. That's why investing in something like the Zhiyun X100 RGB will improve the quality of your videos so much more than just buying a new camera body. Now, Zhiyun did kindly send this light out to me to test, but they are not paying me to make this sponsored segment. But I did say to them that I will show you guys what this light is all about because it is very, very cool. This light is in collaboration with Kanmaki and it comes in this amazing premium case, which is super, super nice. But there's one feature on this light that should be on every single light going forward. But before we get into that, look at how tiny this light is. And even with its tiny size like this, it's still a bicolor RGB 100 watt light. It comes with its standard like power adapters like you get with all your other lights, but the best thing about this light is that it comes with this really cool battery grip that actually attaches straight on to the light itself, which means you can go fully wireless with this light. And that is the one thing that I love about this light, because you don't have to faff around with cables all the time. It makes things so much quicker when you do want to get different angles. It also comes with this tiny mini little softbox, but if you want to attach bigger modifiers, it also comes with this Bowens mount adapter as well, which just attaches onto any stand. So you can get that really nice cinematic soft lighting as well with this light. And you can also create this really cool cinematic lighting effect that you can see behind me using this spotlight attachment that you can also get with this light. It comes with all these different gobos as well, so you can create whatever effect that you would like. So at the minute, obviously I've got the blind one on, and because this is bicolor light, like I said earlier, I've actually set it to 3200 Kelvin to create that warm sunset look, to try and recreate a sunset coming through my window. If you do want to buy this light, you can use the affiliate link in the description below to get 10% off your purchase. Thank you so much to Zhiyun for sending me out this light. It's so, so cool. And now let's get back to the video. So there's some of the main reasons why I did upgrade from the Mark II to the Mark III for video, but it doesn't mean that the Mark II is a bad video camera at all. This camera is amazing, and the biggest reason I think why this camera is so good, this was one of the only cameras where you could shoot downsampled 4K 50p. So because this has a 6K sensor, you're getting a more sharper 4K image in 50 frames per second and 25p as well than normal. Now I've done a test on the R6 Mark III, which I'll overlay now, to see the difference, because there is a big difference, and Canon actually call it 4K fine. The big thing about the R6 Mark II is the Sonys didn't do that. Sony, like the a7 IV, actually cropped in at 4K 50. I'm pretty sure the FX2 cinema camera crops in at 4K 50p as well. So the fact that the R6 Mark II didn't crop in and it was downsampled from 6K, this was one of the best 4K 50p images that you could get on the market, and it is still so, so good for that. The Canon R5 Mark II shooting C-Log 2, it doesn't shoot in downsampled 4K fine. So that's got an 8K sensor. You can't shoot in that, so you're not getting the oversampled from 8K, it's just standard 4K. So the Canon R6 Mark II actually has better 4K 50 than the R5 R5 Mark II. And that's just one reason why I absolutely love the R6 Mark II for. I just think because of how many features they stacked in the R6 Mark III was just enough for me to get it, because it looks too good of a camera in my opinion, especially for video. Also, a lot of this video has been graded with my new SMP Creative LUT pack. So if you did want to support the channel, you can head over to my store and purchase it. It would really help me out. And also you can sign up to my email list to get a free Canon Log II or Canon Log III Rec 709 conversion LUT, which has actually been created using the color space transform effect in DaVinci Resolve. So it's going to be the most accurate Rec 709 conversion LUT that you can get for the R6 Mark II or the Canon R6 Mark III. So now let's get into the photography specs of these two cameras. And obviously, like I'll be in a video shooter, I've not actually used the R6 Mark III a ton for photography yet. I've mainly used it for video. So for starters, the R6 Mark II has a 24 megapixel sensor and the R6 Mark III has an upgraded 32 megapixel sensor. So you're getting slightly more resolution, which gives you more room for cropping in post. But in my opinion, I really don't think you will notice the upgrade that much compared to the two unless you're absolutely cropping in loads and pixel peeping. Just like pre-shooting on video, you also get 5 seconds of pre-shooting. So now if you are a sports or wildlife photographer, that is a pretty big upgrade for stills in my opinion, because like I said, you can wait there, you can get the focus on the bird. As soon as it flies off, if you miss that, as soon as you press roll, I think it's up to 5 seconds before you actually press the shutter button. That is a big upgrade in my opinion on the photography side for the R6 Mark III, but what else is there compared to the Mark II? So you're getting slightly better autofocus. Now I've not done tons of testing between the two, but in my opinion, like I said, after 3 years of shooting weddings and events and parties, the R6 Mark II to autofocus has been great. Now, bearing in mind my main lens has been the Tamron 24-70 f2.8 for Canon EF, which is quite an old lens. It's not the fastest like autofocus compared to Canon's new lenses as well. And I've not really had a problem with that on this camera. And the times where I have had a problem, I think it has mainly been down to the lens. Whereas when I've been using my 70-200 f2.8, the autofocus on that is ridiculously fast, ridiculously accurate. Using IAF on this, I've actually set the AF on button on the back to eye autofocus. So as soon as I press that button, it latches onto an eye. You can change which eye you focus on as well. I've not had any problems with the R6 Mark II for the autofocus in video and photo. So even though this is slightly better, slightly faster, I don't think there's going to be the biggest upgrade difference, and I definitely don't think it's worth upgrading just for the autofocus alone. It's just a nice to have upgrade if you do, if you get what I mean. Also as well, with the improved IBIS, now for video you still get the IBIS wobbles, but for photography you actually get up to 8.5 stops now of IBIS when paired with an IS lens, whereas I think on the R6 Mark II it's just 8 stops or 7.5 stops. And also in the electronic shutter is pretty the same, so you can shoot up to 40 frames per second. But a big upgrade on the R6 Mark III is that now you have a CF Express Type B card slot, so the buffer time is a lot quicker. It doesn't take as long for you to restart shooting again, so you're just shooting a lot quicker. And obviously with it being 40 frames per second and a 32 megapixels, that's a lot more data as well. So personally, do I think it's worth upgrading the R6 Mark II to the R6 Mark III for stills? And personally, no, I don't think it is. And that mainly comes down to how good this is already as a photography camera. It's near the perfect camera. You can shoot all weddings on this, any of the top of the range professional photography jobs, this can definitely do it for you. The autofocus is amazing. You've got a lovely 24 megapixel sensor. The color science is absolutely amazing. The shots look so good. JPEGs out of camera look amazing. There's not much you're missing out of the R6 Mark II. And if you really want that higher megapixel sensor, I think bumping up to 32 megapixels isn't the biggest. And if you really want that higher megapixels, then maybe the bump up to the R5 Mark II to 45 megapixels is going to be significantly more noticeable, because that's nearly double than just 32 megapixels as well. And obviously if you're doing that, you're getting a stacked sensor in the R5 Mark II as well. It might be more worth to upgrade to the R5 Mark II for stills rather than the R6 Mark III. You can get this camera brand new for like £1,200, whereas when I first bought it, I think I bought it for like 2,300. So definitely worth it at the time. An amazing camera. It is ridiculous how cheap you can get this camera now. If you're upgrading, for example, thinking of upgrading to the Mark III, it's not worth selling this for like £1,000, let's say, and then paying the extra, what, £1,000-ish to get to the Mark III. You may as well buy a more premium lens. You're gonna get a lot more value out of like a new VCM prime lens rather than upgrading to the Mark III. I just don't think it's that noticeable in my opinion. But if you are looking to buy one of these cameras for photography only and you don't have any of them, then I would recommend the Mark III. Obviously, because you have them upgrades, if you are a wildlife photographer, that pre-shooting's great. you're obviously getting a higher megapixel sensor, so you can crop in a little bit more, even though it's not that noticeable, but you do have it if you need it. If it's budget you're going on and your budget is not that much, then I definitely recommend the Mark II over the Mark III for photography, just because of how good this camera at the price that you can get, and it's still one of the best photography cameras you can buy out there. So let's talk about like the body, the ergonomics, and the design of these two cameras. Is there much of a difference? Well, no, not really. It's virtually the exact same camera body, but there are a few differences that the R6 Mark III is a little bit better at, in my opinion. And the main one is obviously the HDMI port. It's full size, like I mentioned earlier. You also get a tally lamp, so when you are pressing record on video, this lights up red, so you can obviously see if it's recording or not, which is a nice touch. Obviously on the mode button at the top now, you've got the SNF option for 4K 100, and obviously you get the CF Express Type B card instead of the double slot on the R6 Mark II. They're kind of mainly the only differences. Like, I'm looking at them now, they are literally virtually the exact same, but the main differences I'd say in the body, ergonomics, and design is got to do with the battery life. And the battery life, I got to say, on the R6 Mark III is a little bit disappointing. I really didn't expect it to be, not bad I'd say, but it's very similar to the C50, and the C50 is very similar to the R5C. So you only really get an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, depending on what files, like format you're shooting in. It's actually using the new LPE6P batteries, which are got more capacity than the older Canon batteries in this. So the fact that it's using a more powerful battery and it's still not as good as the R6 Mark II is a little bit disappointing. Now for video, I would 100% expect that, but the battery issues also go into the photography as well. So the photography battery life still is kind of similar to the video in this. So I used to get through a whole wedding day, 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night on the R6 Mark II on what, 2 batteries? I never really went over 2, and I'm pretty much using this all morning, all the ceremony, all like the portraits, and it was my dance floor lens. So, and I'd only get through 2 for photography. For video, I do rig out a VMAX battery and that. The annoying thing with the Mark III as well is that I use a lot of third-party batteries on the R6 Mark II, and none of them work on the R6 Mark III. The camera didn't even turn on. For example, on the old Canon R6 Mark II battery, the official one, that would be on, let's say, 2 bars out of 4 for photography. When I put it into the Canon R6 Mark III, it will be flashing red. So that's how the differences between the 2 battery life is. It takes a lot more juice on the R6 Mark III than the R6 Mark II. So it is a little bit annoying because the R6 Mark II was so good for battery life. So I'm gonna have to invest in a little bit more batteries, which obviously costs a little bit more money, which is just a little bit annoying. I haven't done loads of testing on this, but from just using it for a lot of YouTube stuff, I've actually noticed that the R6 Mark III is also not very good for overheating, especially compared to the R6 Mark II. This R6 Mark II, honestly, is so good for video and stills, because I have not once had a single bar of overheating come up on the R6 Mark II, shooting in 4K 50p C-Log free in like 25+ degree weather at a wedding. It has been so good for me. I've not had any issues with this overheating, and that is just the one thing why I love this camera. That, the battery life, the 4K 50 fine, that's why this camera is so good, and getting it for about £1,200 brand new is an absolute steal. Whereas on the Canon R6 Mark III, I shot, I think, something like an unboxing video. I shot it for 40 minutes. I had 2 lights, so like one aperture Amaran 100D, and I think I had like a 60 watt, both on like 100%, and 4K, 25p, which is downsampled from 6K, so not even open gate, not 50p. And I had, I think, 6 or 7 bars out of like 9 or 10, whatever it is, on the overheating meter. And that was just in this office in the winter, just with 2 lights on. It does get me a little bit worried, like when I am shooting a wedding in the summer, which is like 25 degrees plus, because I'm not gonna have this rigged out. This is mainly gonna be like on a gimbal. If I'm shooting a speech, for example, the wedding ceremony, is it gonna overheat then? And that's actually a big reason why I wanted the C50 as well, because it has a fan built into it. I've had this for 3 years, not even had a single bar of overheating. I've had this for 1 month, and I've already had up to 6 or 7 bars shooting just in 25p. The ergonomics and body design of these 2 cameras, in my opinion, the R6 Mark II wins in pretty much every way. So that's my little comparison, personal thoughts between the Canon R6 Mark III and the Canon R6 Mark II. I absolutely love the Canon R6 Mark II. I'm actually sad that I'm getting rid of it, and if I'm being honest, I'm literally giving this away today. Well, not giving it away, but I've sold it this morning, and that's why I'm making this video now, because I'm selling it and I felt like I had to quickly make this video. I'm going to miss this camera. If it wasn't for budget reasons, I would keep this as a B, like a C camera, because it is that good. But because I have to fund the R6 Mark III, I have sold it to put that money towards it. So it is a little bit sad. This has probably been my main, like, this is what made me go full time in my job. This shot me loads of weddings, all this, tons of this YouTube channel. it is sad to go. But if you do have the R6 Mark II like me, is it worth selling it and paying pretty much near enough double the price for the Canon R6 Mark III? I do think it's worth it, mainly for video. For photography, I gotta admit, I wouldn't upgrade. I just don't think there's enough features there, and it's mainly due to because of how good the R6 Mark II is for stills. Like, it's that good for video as well. It's just that they absolutely crammed the video features in the R6 Mark III was enough for me to get it. If you're a photographer only, the R6 Mark II. If you're a hybrid shooter, the R6 Mark III. Should you upgrade? I personally think yes, if you shoot video. Either way, I don't think you can go wrong with either of these two cameras. They're both absolutely amazing, and like I said, if it wasn't for budget reasons, I would 100% keep the R6 Mark II, and I'd still be using it to this day, even though I have the C50 and the R6 Mark III. If you did enjoy this video and found it helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and watch one of these videos next that I have made on the R6 Mark III to have a more in-depth reason why I absolutely love this camera.